Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Not Evil Studios devlog for our brand new VR game, TDVR, The Defense of Vale Rest.
Hello again, I'm Kura, and as usual, I'll be showing you how the Unity development for TDVR has been going. So, utilising the systems we have so far, I've set up a bit of a demo with 13 waves, as you can see here. It's not entirely balanced, but it's not like it's final. I've just set it up so we can test playing the game with the systems we have in place and find any issues or things we want to change. If I look around the level before starting it, you can see that there are 6 different tower locations you can build in at the moment. We're looking to change this to a grid system with more freedom in what towers can be placed where in the future, but for now, these predefined tower building spots are here as placeholders. So you can see this is to build a bow tower for 100 gold, and this is to build a cannon tower for 250. Both the middle slots are for cannon towers, the outer ones are for the bow towers. You'll notice that I'm starting with 50 gold, which is not enough to build any of the towers, as the cheapest one, the bow tower, costs 100. This means that as I start the level, I'll have to fight with my bow to make some gold first before I can build my first tower. So I'll click F to start the level, and I will kill this slime with my bow. Eventually, there we go. So you see I got 75, I get 25 from that slime, so it's not enough yet, so I'm going to have to kill another one. Once I've killed this one, I'll have 100, I can quickly go and play the little mini game and build this tower. And this tower will start killing my enemies. I won't go through all the levels, but I will show you how I changed things up from wave 11. So I've given myself some starting gold, you can see it's now 5,000. And I'm going to build a couple towers. Okay, now that I've built myself a couple towers, or 4 to be exact, I'll start the wave. I'll start from wave 11. As you can see, I've set the wave count to 10. It starts from 0, so that's going to be 11, because programming always starts from 0. Because yeah. So if I click F, thank you, zoom, you'll see that these slimes are heading for the tower. So this means that you might have to help protect your tower before it gets destroyed by these little guys. And you see that there is a health bar around the tower that is going down as these slimes are attacking it. And if it gets destroyed, well, you can rebuild it if you have enough gold. So you'll see, oh no, it's been destroyed. That's unfortunate. I have enough gold to rebuild it though, because I gave myself a load, so I can rebuild it. My other tower did manage to take care of those enemies, but there is a threat to the towers now from these tower targeting slimes. So you may have noticed during my demonstration that one of the towers is looking a little bit different. So this is the new Ballista model that Chris H has made, and I've implemented it on top of this tower. This is replacing the tower that was firing the lines beforehand, and now it's firing arrows at a slower rate, but they hit a lot harder. So the aiming mechanism is using pretty much the same logic that the cannons are using, except there's a bit of spread around from the direct targeting, so it's a bit more random, but it still often hits its target. So you'll see that when it hits, it insta-kills the slime because it's doing quite a lot of damage.
Hello, my name is Chris, and as usual, I'm going to be showing you some of the Blender work that I've been doing. And first, we have the Ballista that you've just seen. I'm going to give you a bit of a closer look at it. So this was the first model that I've created where I really started to experiment with procedural texturing and texture baking to UVs. This model's got an armature attached to it, and that's what I used to make the animations for the shooting and the reloading. But here we've got like different wood shadings. Like we've got the sort of the light wood here, and then the darker wood, and then here we have like a bronze type texture. Each of these have got their own UV map, both for the texture itself and the normal mapping, so that it'll show the grooves in certain light. Like you can see here, looks a lot rougher due to the way the light is bouncing off that part of the ballista. So as for the animations, I move this one over a little so it makes it a little more obvious when the two reload, or when the two animations happen. The first animation is the reloading animation, which you'll see there. And then the next animation is the shooting animation. With this game being a VR game, I really wanted to make the animations look as authentic as possible, which I'll demonstrate here with this sort of locking mechanism. It was both a lot of fun and very stressful trying to get the animations to work. I haven't delved into animation too much with Blender, and there's a lot of fun little intricacies that you need to learn with Blender before you can export things into Unity. But we got there, and I'm really happy with it, and I love the work that Kura's been doing to make this sort of move and tilt and aim at the things it needs to aim at, which uses these sort of pivot points. Yeah.
You may have also noticed that this Ballista Tower and the cannon now face their targets. So if I spawn an enemy, you'll notice that it turns to face it. You'll also notice these very cool animations in play. It would load an arrow, but I haven't quite added that feature yet. But you will see that it will load an arrow in when that animation plays, and then the arrow will fire out. So I've made it so they aim just ahead of their targets, so you'll see pretty accurate to where the arrow is coming out. So just so it looks consistent. I did initially make it so it was just facing the target directly, but it looks a bit strange without them having it line up perfectly with where their projectile is firing.
So as you may have heard in the last video, I mentioned the tower needed a little bit more work, and for that tower, I added some texturing to the door and the archway around the door. I used procedural texturing for this as well, and I applied two different textures and sort of mixed those together onto one shader node. I've never really done this before. Again, this is brand new, it's all just experimenting, but I really like the way it looks. I think it came out quite well. But I need to learn a little bit more about deformation nodes so that I can have these lines that look pretty flat at the moment, but I want those to look like they are actually indents in the wood between each of the boards that make up the door. I also did work on some of the other parts of the tower as well. So, for example, up here I did some separation of the crenellations. Yeah. Those. I separated these off from the main body of the tower so that I can have different shading applied to those. So for example, the body of the tower here has a smooth shading attached to it, so that makes it look a lot rounder. And these used to have the smooth shading, but you'll see that it sort of adds some strange shading to the way the light bounces off it here, and they don't look as flat and blocky as I'd like them to. So shading those flat gives them that blocky, bricky sort of feel, which I like a lot better. And the last thing I'm going to show you is the 3 hammers that I've been working on live on stream on twitch.tv. I changed the shading here, and you can see we've got 3 hammers here. We've got the standard wooden hammer in the middle with the wooden head, wooden handle, and some bronze rings around the outside. We've got the stone hammer on the left with the stone head and the wooden handle. And on the right, we've got the iron hammer with an iron head and an iron handle. With the wooden hammer, I'm not 100% sure I like the material on the head. I can't help but feel every time I look at it, it looks spongy. So this is something I might change in the future. It's not a huge deal for now, but I think it is something that I'm going to have a play with in future to make it look a little bit more less spongy. And over here we have the stone hammer here, created with procedural texturing again. I also did some sculpting deformations on the outside of the hammer here, just on the edges. Makes it look sort of a little more worn, almost like it's been used. And I think it really adds some personality to the stone. Yeah, really happy with the stone hammer. Lastly, we've got the iron hammer. Again, it's been created using some procedural textures and some beveling around the head of the hammer here. A more sharper look gives it more of a metal feel. The handle does still need some work doing to it. I want to create a sort of a leather wrapping sort of texture around the handle, but again, I think this needs some deformation nodes. I think they're called deformation nodes. I'd like to get some indents in between each of the wraps of the leather. And up here, there will probably be a slightly different shade of metal being applied to these parts. And that is going to do it for this devlog. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe to stay up to date with the development of TDVR, and follow the Kickstarter in the description. We look forward to showing you so much more.
Was I going to say something else? It's a really good question. No, I don't think I was.